Everyone, day 20, 100 Days of Thankfulness. This is Tom Anderson. Today we're talking about the importance of trusting God. I'm also going to talk about the fourth miracle that happened to me in 1993. And I also wanted to follow up by talking about someone else that I'm so thankful for, Roger Gilbert. I haven't seen him in almost 20 years, but we'll get into that more later. So yesterday I was sharing with how I had prayed my first prayer after accepting Jesus Christ into my life, and I didn't really know what to expect, what would happen from that. I was experiencing a lot of anxiety because I didn't know how I was going to clean up my act, and I was just feeling overwhelmed. That was most of my anxiety, was just looking at this as this impossible task, and so I prayed the prayer, and after I prayed the prayer, I experienced just this amazing peace. And so it was just happened so quickly too. I went from super high anxiety to almost none. And for me, it was almost like realizing for the first time that God was sitting there right next to me. Like I was sitting in the presence of God while I was driving down the highway, and not only realizing that He was there, but realizing He's always been there. Even when I was thinking about killing myself, He was there stopping me all those years before I was even a Christian. So now I don't experience, I do experience more peace, over the last 22 years since this has happened. I do experience more peace in my life, but I can't say that it's quite on this level. There maybe were a couple other times in my life where I experienced, when there was like chaos going on around me, and I was experienced just that complete peace. And one of the times, and I'll start talking about Roger here just so you can understand where I'm coming from. Roger Gilbert had written, he probably doesn't realize that this had much of an impact on me, but he had once given me a small paper that he had written, and this is about the time that he was introducing me to my first Bible study. He introduced me to a bunch of guys, and so my first men's Bible study was through him. But he had given me this paper that he wrote, which was sharing one of his experiences on picking up a hitchhiker, and who was sort of in desperate need for some different things, and Roger had given him some food, and afterwards he was just lamenting. After he gave him a ride, he was lamenting that he just hadn't done enough for him, and he wished he could do more. And from that, my big takeaway from reading that, and why this had such an impact on me, is Roger Gilbert really showed me his heart for God. He showed me what it is to live for God. It's to live very selflessly. It's to always look at everyone else as a unique miracle of God, that God sometimes will put us in a position to help others, and we don't need to be so afraid to reach out to that stranger. And the other part about it is just being almost fearless, knowing that when God's got your back, even if the worst thing should happen, that we get killed or something as a result of taking some of these risks, if we're doing it for God, if we're doing it with that eternal perspective of realizing that eventually we're all going to die anyways, why not die trying to save somebody, or why not die trying to do something noble? So he had that impression on me just with that paper that he wrote, and I took that to heart a few other times where I was in situations where I was downtown Chicago, and some guy approaches me praising God and at a donut shop, and I just strike up a conversation with him, and he explains to me that he's just got out of jail. He's an ex, he was in jail for so many years, and he was a drug dealer, and he needs my help, and can I give him some money? And normally I'd be really leery about that, but here was another situation where I felt that same peace of God, that same presence of God, that that this guy is not a con artist. This guy is a genuine person he's about to start a job, and he just needs a little bit of money to get his Social Security card so that he can apply for it. And but I had to walk with him a ways through some pretty dangerous neighborhoods, and but the whole time I felt that peace of God, and in the end, I'm just so glad that I was able to help that man. And I think I was inspired by Roger Gilbert and just his heart in that way. And I wish we all could, not be so afraid to try to do things like that to help other people out. So that's pretty much it. I know that on the scale of of how amazing these miracles are, this certainly was something that was feeling, I was feeling something very supernatural going on. It's hard to really put that into words other than to just say I felt very much at peace. I felt very much protected by God in these situations. And that was certainly the case on my way driving home that night after I had said that prayer. So thanks once again to Roger Gilbert.